Feature Friday.
The freshest.
Jed Madela, everybody.
Oh my God! What up, people? Welcome to Feature Friday Plus. Today we are joined by the one and only Jed Madela. Hey!
Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. Nice to meet you. Finally. And thank you. Thank you for the reaction video that you made for my video. Thank you so much.
We've loved a lot, so much of your content, like throughout the discovery of the Filipino industry. So it was really cool to have the opportunity to talk to you in person. It's super dope.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. That's good. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, you guys are very popular here in the Philippines, and your reaction videos are all over the place. And I'm just so happy. We are. Like personally, I'm so happy that you guys came across my video, and and I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, how could we not?
Nah,
It's
dude.
ridiculously talented.
It's so bizarre when because sometimes like people say that stuff. Like, thanks for sort of checking out the music and stuff.
It's like, no, thank you.
And it's like, dude, it's like it's truly it's like an honor to even, because one of the things I was mentioning in the podcast, Jed, is like, we're from South America in Venezuela, and in Venezuela you never really knew that there was like another world out there. Like you never really
Yes.
and there's another industries, and there's different music. And I know you're someone who's fan of like Korean pop, and also you like music from all around the world. So it's super like that never came to our mind. And then when we came across obviously the Filipino music industry, it's like, what in the planet? Like it's insane, dude. The quality of singing and the quality of the product that you guys in terms of music sell over there, it's top notch quality. So it's you shouldn't say thanks, mate. It should be thank you. You know what I mean?
Very much so.
Well, here in the Philippines, I think singing or any talent regarding music, it's innate in everybody here already. Like it's a pastime of everybody here. If somebody like in a household, there will be nobody who cannot sing. Some can dance, some can play the piano, or some can play an instrument. And but it's always music is always present in everything here in the Philippines.
Yeah, and you can tell it's something that it literally runs through your veins, and sometimes I'm like a little jealous I wasn't born there. Like, there is so much that is inculcated in the culture of like of music, of singing, that it's such a blessing. You guys are incredible, and forever be a phenomenon in my head.
Was that your was your upbringing a bit like that? Like, since you were a kid, you sort of always involved in music, or?
Yeah, well, I come from a musically inclined family. My dad is a choir teacher, and I also have uncles and aunts who are all singers and performers. So basically, I grew up in a household full of music, and there was never a day that there was no music playing. There was always something happening. Yeah. And I guess it was just a hobby, actually. Everybody had a hobby of just singing or playing an instrument in the house. And I never even, it didn't even cross my mind that I would be using it as a career. It was just a hobby. And then it was just accidental when I was discovered in a bar, jamming with a friend. And then there was this big time manager, artist manager who, approached me and asked me if I wanted to be a singer. And I was like, what do you mean? Like a singer as a career or what? So, that was just very accidental. But I've been singing since I was a kid. And I owe it all to my dad, who is, the one who really taught me how to sing. And my mom, who has the power of the voice. Yeah, because my mom would be only like talking normally, but we could hear her from the other end of the house. so it's a good combination.
Yeah, definitely. You got projection and technique. I mean, it's crazy.
Maybe not the best. I don't know if you were like what would you call it, a troublemaker as a kid when you were young, but I'm sure you could hear her yells from miles away.
Oh yeah. We were all scared of her, but I love my mom. Yeah, I love her.
So you got discovered in a bar.
That is
sort of jamming.
Yeah.
That is such that's everybody's like dream story, isn't it? It's like, oh well, I was just happening, serendipity also happened. It's like, tell us more about that. What was your initial reaction?
Well, originally I'm from a province here in the Philippines, from Iloilo. It's a
Iloilo.
province in here in the Philippines, and it's like an hour and a half plane ride, or an hour plane ride going to Manila. And when I finished college, the first thing that I did was to look for a job. I went to Manila to be a flight attendant,
Oh,
actually.
nice.
Yeah, so that was my initial plan. And while looking for a job, I visited a friend who was performing in a bar, and they asked me to go on stage
Oh boy.
to jam. And yeah, I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I sang a few songs, and I didn't know that there was this huge manager, uh, who actually was the manager of Regine Velasquez.
Oh
He was my
wow.
Wow.
first manager.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes, he was my very first manager, and he discovered me, and yeah, it started from there. And yeah, he groomed me to be the male version of Regine Velasquez.
Literally, my God, it's a dream. Listening to your performances and seeing you as a performer on stage is so natural. It's so very refined in the craft
Oh,
as
thank
well.
you.
It's really refreshing, and I find that a lot of your live performances, I find myself going back to them to kind of like understand so much of the technique, and it is so natural to you. Like, did that come with the years of training with your dad, or did you kind of like discover all of these things in the go?
Well, with the basics, I guess it was with my dad, because I
Hmm.
would remember when I was small, when I was still a kid, my dad would bring his entire choir in our house, and he would
Oh,
train them there. And probably I'd pick up a couple techniques and tips from him. And I started singing on my own, and then my dad discovered that, oh, this boy
Oh.
has talent. And then he would passively just teach me stuff like, you're using your nasal too much. You're using your voice from your throat. Don't use that. You're gonna lose your voice. So, and then he would like scream from one end, I can't hear you. Project some more. And it was just very passive. And then I would check out other singers on TV and on the radio, and I would
Hmm.
like start getting their techniques. And when I got into school, I would join competitions without my dad knowing, and I would just come home with a medal, with an award. And yeah, so that was basically how things started. I was self-taught. I never enrolled in any vocal class or any performance school. It was all self-taught. And
Wow.
yeah, with the videos that you see right now, that was completely a big turnaround already. When I started, I was so quiet. Being a guy from the province,
Yeah.
and being a newbie here in the big city, I was very quiet. I was so quiet that I wouldn't even do spiels on stage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my keyboard player would be the one doing the spiels, and I would be just like standing there, and okay, I'd
Like,
sing, and I'd say thank you, and then that's it. And then the keyboard player would do the spiels. But eventually I had to learn that I was the frontliner. I had to learn
Mhm.
how to talk. I had to learn how to entertain the audience, how to deal with hecklers, or
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, I learned from experience.
it's really peculiar that, because I would have never thought you would be like that would be the evolution, sound kind of like not just the singing part but more the performance.
Entertainer. Yeah.
Because one of the things I'm sure maybe you've watched some of them, but one of the things that really impressed me about you was, I think, and a lot of singers it seems as well in the Philippines, they're full performers, live show performers.
Yeah.
So you do have to learn how to deal with some prick outside saying something, and then
Yeah.
you gotta deal with it, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And actually you really have to learn, you have to keep on learning, and to keep on learning how to be interesting on stage, because
Mhm.
well, it's a given fact that here in the Philippines, singers and performers are a dime a dozen. A lot of people are performers here. And if you just settle with what you have right now, you will get left behind, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of amazing performers coming out every day, especially now in the age of social media, that
Mhm.
a lot can just upload their video and they become viral, and then you get left behind. So you really have to constantly be changing and
like evolving type of thing.
Evolving and go with the times and whatever is the in thing. Like with people doing TikTok now, you also have to be there. People doing YouTube. It's not anymore, just the live scene anymore. It's online. Everybody's online. You have to go with the flow.
And it's quite tough though. Like the natural progression I find from being a non-stage live artist and having a very solid career, a whole lifetime of experience, and then having to translate that into the online platforms. I find that bridge to be quite challenging a lot of the times.
Yes,
it's
that's
a
so true.
difficult, yeah, it's a difficult because you want to seem, approachable, but you also want to let them know what your background is because you're being shown to the world. So there's a lot of work that goes in behind that bridge between, live performing and your career outside of social media, and then interlinking that with the social media platforms.
Yeah,
really
that's
difficult.
true. Actually, it's really hard, especially if you're very used to live performances.
Absolutely.
That people go to you and watch you perform. Unlike in social media, it's mostly coincidence when people come across your videos or your live streams, and it's you just can't explain, or you can't show yourself in just a few minutes. People have to backtrack and check your previous videos and stuff. But I guess that's the magic of social media and technology now, that everybody can just go online and search for old videos and old performances, and you get to see how an artist grow.
Absolutely.
Certainly, I think
it's also a blessing, though.
No, of course,
because without it, we wouldn't have found you.
No, no, it's obviously there's certainly a lot of benefits to it, but I think maybe because you maybe saw the industry, because the industry has changed a lot, specifically because of the whole social media aspect of things.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, I think things have changed even more bizarrely because of the pandemic. Maybe what was going to happen faster in terms of live streams and social media being the king of things. I am still like on the verge when it comes to movies. I thought movies like cinemas were completely going to be out of the fucking picture, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So that's good news as well for music, in the sense of concerts are never going to be gone. That's always something that people are going to want to see. But online concerts are now a thing, and that's something that I never thought of. So you've seen the industry change. What is that? Maybe the most shocking thing that you've noticed, or has there other things that you sort of noticed in the industry change in this last 15 years of music?
Well, I guess this is the major change that I've experienced. I've been in the industry for almost 20 years now. And the trends, every year or every 2 years it changes. And very fast. And sometimes it's a challenge for us. Like here in the Philippines, people here, they support you one day, and then the next day they find somebody else and they forget about you. So it's constant. Change is always constant. You always have to keep on changing, and you have to go with the change. And especially now that social media and technology is like the in thing, it has made the world really smaller, and it has connected a lot of people, not just here in the Philippines, but all over the world. And you're right that everything seems to be so fast now. One day you're like you're the viral person, and then the next day you're gone.
Dude, it's so one day on the internet is like
a year.
Yeah, it feels like a year. It feels like a week, and then 1 week on the internet feels like a month. It's so weird.
The time really runs differently online, and I think there a lot of people kind of forget. I find that the newer generation that were brought up in this technology surge, right, where all the information's at your fingertips, I find that it's hard for them to understand that there is a whole world that happens without the online world, right? But it is so prevalent and it's so accessible for everybody right now, right? So it's kind of hard to find that balance between real life and the online world. And I find it's a wonderful tool when it comes to connecting the world in the way that it's doing it right now. but it's also a good reminder to, like, like Efra says, go out, smell some grass.
Yeah, that's true. Well, actually, social media is somewhat like show business.
Yeah.
I always tell people, show business is a make-believe world. It's what you make it. Like, if you want to have an image, if you want to have this look, it doesn't have to be the real you, because it's show business. Of course, you have to package yourself as this kind of person that people will look up to, and people will just, daydream and imagine them to be like you as well. So it's the same thing with social media. There is like a bubble somewhat that you live in this bubble and you think that's your world, but you don't know that there's a great big world out there outside
That's
social
right.
media.
But I like your approach. That's a really intelligent approach.
Actually, the most of the time, it's disappointingly fake and not real at all.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's also one thing that I really had to make sure of when I got into show business. I had to like really consciously separate my life in showbiz and my personal life, because if you don't, you're gonna be eaten up by showbiz is not all that glitz and glamour and popularity and fame. It's also scary. It's also messy. It's also dirty. If you mix your personal life with this make believe world, it's gonna be so difficult for you. So when I was starting, I already made it a point that when it's work, it's when it's showbiz, it's work. And after I sing, when I go off stage, when I go offline, I go back to my normal self. So that's one thing that my parents really like placed in my head. When you're not performing, go back to who you really are. And it kind of helps. It really helps a lot. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you connected to the realities of life. And because sometimes if you're too much into showbiz, you turn into a whole new different person. Sometimes a monster even. Yeah. So you have to really separate personal life and your make believe world.
And I think that's the healthiest way of approaching it. I think it comes to a point where creating is so personal that it's actually really hard to create those boundaries, right? Because you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable situation as a performer. You're always giving a part of you that the world hasn't seen yet, right? So it's a really clever fine line to find that balance between what's your personal life, what belongs to you and to you only, and what belongs to the world and you're choosing to share. And I think that's the cleverest way of doing things. I think you gotta put boundaries in certain things.
That's true, because sometimes people when they think that you're a showbiz personality or a celebrity, they think that they own you. They think
you belong to them. Yeah,
you belong to them, and whatever they say or whatever they do is okay because you're out there. You're public property. But then if you, well, it depends on you if you allow them to make you their property. So that's where the boundaries has to come in.
It feels really odd. Apologies, Jed. It does feel really odd because sometimes you have songs which are regarding your love life or your family or something that you find inspiring, and then people relate to it, and then they think that they actually know the true core you through a song.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And of course, there's some relatability.
Yeah.
But to then presume that
they know you
and they can then kind of treat you like public property. It's such a bizarre link, but it seems to happen so often, and it's something that we hear a lot from artists and actors seem to also go through the same thing. And actors is even more bizarre, right? Because they pretend to be someone who you would resonate with.
Yeah, that's true. And people think like there are character actors that I have friends who are character actors who always are typecasted as villains. And people think that that's their real character. And sometimes whenever they would go to the mall or in any public place, somebody would just like hit them with an umbrella or something. You're mean. You're mean. And then I'm like, whoa. So sometimes people, it's very interesting. People can get so sucked into into the showbiz world.
Mhm.
So yeah, because people think that whatever they see on TV or hear on the radio, that's the entirety of you. But no, it's just a part of you, and sometimes it's even make believe. So yeah,
You've done a bit of acting though, haven't you?
what's that?
You've done a bit of acting as well, haven't you?
I've done a couple short roles in
Nice.
some movies, but I haven't gotten into really hardcore acting. It's kind of difficult here in the Philippines because if you're an actor, you have to be like really fully committed to be an actor.
Right.
Like
Of course.
you have to, give up sleep, a lot of sleep. Yeah, because here in the Philippines, they shoot like straight days.
Oh,
They
Yeah.
don't they don't have like hours, just hours, and it's gonna take a
Crazy.
toll on my voice.
Yeah.
I've done a couple shoots and it didn't do well for my voice, so I had to
Mm.
choose. Well, probably in the future, if there's a good project, why not? But I'm really mainly focused on singing.
well,
Well, actually, that's a perfect segue into what I've been dying to ask you. Vocal discipline and your vocal
Mm.
health. What are your go-to tips and go-to things that you must do before performing or and after? There's, warm-ups and cool downs.
Well, with my voice, I guess yeah, it's very important that you have to have your rituals.
Mm.
Um, of course, the vocalization is always important. You have to warm up, especially if I have to do like a 2 hour concert alone or 2 to 3 hours.
bloody hell.
Um, yeah, so it's very tiring. You don't just warm up your voice, but you also have to warm up your entire body, your mindset, everything. And I think when you're a performer, I think everything's all about the mind as well because
Yeah.
sometimes your mind is more powerful than your body. Sometimes you say that,
Absolutely.
yeah, you're gonna say that, okay, even if I haven't had that enough sleep last night, but then my mind says you can do it, then I can finish the entire show. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of mindset, and I guess with my personal rituals, I try to get a lot of sleep. I try to eat, healthy, and especially if I'm preparing for a tour
Mhm.
or a major concert, you really have to have tip top shape
Yeah.
because it's not easy. It's not easy to be on stage, maintaining that certain level of energy vocally and physically, and you also have to entertain people. So yeah, so basically that's how it is. If you're tired, get some rest. Don't push yourself. That's one thing I learned the hard way because I'm a yes person. I always say, okay, yes, go. Okay, yes. Jed, can you sing here? Can you perform here? Yes, okay. And then one day I just I burnt out. I lost my voice. I had acute laryngitis. That was the
Oof.
worst. And I lost my voice for 3 months.
Oof.
3 months of no talking, no singing,
Oh
and
God.
I got so scared. I got so
Mhm.
scared. So because of that, it was a big wake up call for me that Jed, you're not Superman. You have to rest. You have to rest, and you have to learn how to say no. So since that happened to me, I learned how to pace myself. You really have to learn how to pace yourself.
Yeah. And that's important too. I find that understanding the extent of what physically you're able to do is also really important. And I kind of relate to that push yourself always mentality
Mm,
too, because I trained in musical theater here in London, and they inculcate that really early on in the course, right? It's 4 years of hardcore training, but really early on
mhm.
they're like, if you don't push, if you don't try to outdo everybody else around you, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, and
Nobody's
they're
gonna
gonna kick you
hire you.
out.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's
nobody's
true.
gonna hire you. And so that mentality of do more, do better, be better, push yourself, and you're constantly competing with your own mind,
And
with
it's like
yourself.
do as many
Yeah,
auditions as you physically possibly can.
It's
Go to
like,
as many.
yeah.
yeah,
Ridiculous.
meet as many people as you can, sing as many bops and bars and everything as you can. And then it comes to a point like it happened to you, physical injury, and then you're out for 3 years, and that to me was that was my wake up call. It was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll take a break.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, that's what I always advise aspiring singers. Yeah, it's good that you connect, you build your social circle, and of course your reputation as a performer. But
understand your limits too.
Yeah, you have to know your limits. You have to know your boundaries. And when your body says that, slow down, you have to listen to your body. Especially especially when you're in the business for quite some time now. Sometimes we forget that we're getting old. Like I would even sometimes perform on stage, and I would ask myself, I used to sing this song without any effort, but now how come it's so difficult?
Yeah.
So sometimes I forget that, I'm also aging. I'm also getting old. So you also have to consider that as well. And you have to accept the fact that, that's life. That's life. Sometimes,
but to be fair,
you have to...
Go on, sorry.
Yeah. Well, you have to accept the fact that you have to live. You have to live your life. Yeah.
To be fair though, Jed, when someone told me, they dropped me a text and they were like, Jed is like, he's turning 40. And I'm like, 44. I'm like, no, he's
I'm 44.
Isn't. 44.
No way.
And I was like, no, he
44.
fucking isn't. He's not 44.
You're fantastic.
Everyone in the Philippines ages backwards, dude. That's what I say. We were talking about like, Sarah. She's like, dude,
yeah,
aging backwards. Leah, I think, ages backwards as well.
Oh yeah,
they get better with the years. I'm like, whoa.
We were just speaking to Jason D, and I think he turned 33, something like that. And it's like, dude, you look 21. I think he actually looks better than me, and I'm 23. And it's like, so what the hell is going on? I don't know what you guys eat, but I do want some. But I was gonna say this.
Come move to the Philippines.
Yeah, listen, this is on our bucket list of places to go. As soon borders open, we're there.
Oh yeah, you should.
Yeah, it's something we're planning. It's just the quarantine period and stuff like that is a bit rough.
Yeah, that's true.
And it messes up with a lot of stuff outside. But we will do it. It will be fun to also meet some of you guys in person and do the podcast.
Yeah.
Real. Because I do want to see your studio, mate, because it looks unbelievable as well. Look at your office.
This is like my BTS corner. I love BTS.
I love it.
I love BTS.
Okay, now let's talk about that. That needs to be spoken about. Tell me all about how did you feel in love with BTS? Because for me, it was seeing them live, performing live, like in one.
You already saw them live? Oh.
No. I haven't seen them in a concert, but like watching footage of them performing live on YouTube. That for me was like, yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, it started last year. Actually, I've seen and I've known BTS for years already, but then I never got so hooked. I don't know why, but some of my friends are all BTS fans. They're all ARMY, and then they would encourage me, "Come on, listen to this." I'm like, I can't understand. I'd be like, I block it off. And then when the pandemic started last year, and it was around September, that Dynamite came out, and then I said, "Oh, finally an English song." And then I listened to the song. It really was good. And then I saw them perform. And then since we weren't doing anything, since we were all on lockdown, I started researching on them, and I went back to their roots. And more than their music and more than the performances, it was their story that really hooked me up. It was very inspiring, and I saw a part of me in their story. So like these young kids who just wanted to perform and be seen and be supported. I saw myself in them when I was starting, and I started listening to some of their songs, and I learned that their songs are like what we mentioned a while ago. Some of them are like stories of their own lives, stories of their friends, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's like a platform for you to tell stories. And also, what's nice about them is they use their platform to inspire people and make people, put people in their places, that especially the ones who are lost. They kind of give you this. They kind of attract you and bring you to their own world of happiness and peace and just good vibes. So that's where everything started. And now all the army fans would send me stuff, and they would send me albums and stuffed toys and whatever merch.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, that's where I started getting hooked with BTS.
I think what hooked me, or what really I think what really made them stand out to me, because we were really trying to understand the Korean industry itself, because I think since last year and a half, I kind of saw that. I think what the Korean industry is doing at the moment, it's really impressive in terms of production value, videos, the amount of content they put out often, and it's elite stuff. It's really really impressive. But obviously BTS was one of that stood out, and this was kind of before their English songs, and I think what made them really impressive is the fact that they could make music that could also have a positive and encouraging message behind it, but was also rap, or was also hip hop, or was also R&B. And it kind of broke that idea in my head that, I'm an R&B guy. I like rap. I rap myself. So, and I guess being around rappers and it's a different world to what these guys offer in terms of rap and R&B. It's like you actually feel it's like, I'm doing something good because I'm actually saying things that encourage other people, or I'm saying like just the idea of like love yourself. It's like, what the fuck is like, it's obvious, right? But not many people genuinely utilize it in music with such genuinity. So I think that was something that obviously I think, and I'm probably not the only one, but it did call my attention as individuals, that it seems they're really good people that also perform.
Yes, exactly. That's and that's what's nice about them, is because of their purpose. You kind of like to stay there because it's always happy, it's always good, and there's no drama and there's no stress. And like what you mentioned earlier, like even if it was rap or R&B, or even the mere fact that it's in Korean, it still speaks to us, even if you can't understand the lyrics.
Breaks barriers,
right? So,
right? Yeah.
Right. So they're amazing. They're really geniuses in their own rights.
Very, very well. Ironic with them actually is that at the start of their career, they were essentially a rap group.
Yeah.
And one of the things that impresses me the most about people that like BTS is that some of them, sometimes they send us messages. They're like, "Oh, I actually got into hip hop
because of
BTS. But before, when I would listen to hip hop, I couldn't stand it." Or like pop, for example, I'm not a big pop fan. I don't really like the charts that much. I seem to like more what's away from the charts for some reason, and ballet seems to like alternative and weird music. So it's like pop is not really a thing. But when it comes to a lot of, for example, like I think Filipino pop for some reason is popular in the house.
Yeah, it's very good though.
Korean pop is popular in the house too. So that was one of the also mind-blowing things, that you can, even genres are different in different parts of the world, and they provide different values, and cultures tell different stories in different ways. So I think definitely BTS is one of those that comes to mind when it comes to, if you want to show someone from different parts of the world what good quality music can sound like. And now that they're obviously breaking through number ones like every bloody week, I think everyone's knowing about them anyways.
Yeah, and again, thank God for technology, that we get to discover all of these things at the click of a button, or on our phones, or on our computers, right?
Yeah,
so
I think
thank God for technology.
Absolutely. And I think it's also so clever, right, that you have so they have so much creative freedom over what they decide to showcase. So they really do have that thought process behind the product. And I find that those are links that a lot of the times in popular music are lost, that that link between creativity and message and final product. Those three links sometimes are kind of lost in the way.
Yeah, they jump to the part where do we earn money?
Exactly. Yes.
That's the problem always. Which part? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's important too. Like, I mean, you put so much time and so much effort, you invest so much. It's go get your money, but also give me, the links in between.
Right, that's true. That's true. That's what's difficult here in the Philippines here now is because of course we're very limited with the budgets and stuff. But the creative aspect is overflowing. A lot of great and creative minds here in the Philippines. It's just so sad that unlike in Korea, they are well supported. They are, there's a lot of support from a lot of people. But here in the Philippines, if they want to be sure that if they invest here, will we get our money back or more even? So well, which is also acceptable, but I just feel so sad when I see a lot of amazing talents that are just just giving up and looking for another job because making music doesn't pay well. So I really do hope that one of these days, you know, there's going to be like a huge influx of support for Filipino talent, not just the singers, but of course
The creatives.
the creators, yeah, the writers, the composers, the arrangers, the people behind the camera, because these are the guys who actually are important, not just the artists.
They're the ones that kind of allow the artist to even be able to then reach the level to it can be published, so definitely a lot of credit to all of them. I think also, Jed, it's probably going to occur that moment of huge influx of support and kind of notoriety. I think it's going to happen in these next 5 years because
I think so too.
It's special what's kind of happening with like the lads from like SB19. It's special what's happening with people like Moira de la Torre and
Ben and Ben.
Ben and Ben.
Yeah.
I think it's really special what's going on. I also would mention someone like Inigo, who Inigo Pascual, who's kind of opening up that island tropical sound that I think is so worldwide.
And even KZ Kandingan.
Morissette, obviously.
Morissette,
These girls, I think it's gonna happen in this next kind of 5 years where maybe similar to how BTS opened new eyes, not just to BTS, but also to the Korean music industry. Because thanks to BTS is how we also discovered some of our favorite musicians and singers, drummers that are from Korea, and they now happen to be some of my favorite musicians. So I think that influx of kind of attention and notoriety, because the quality of the product is there. Sometimes it's difficult, like, where we're from in Venezuela, I think they still have the issue where the quality is not there yet. There's also, huge issues going on in Venezuela, but I don't think they can worry even about music. But if in the Philippines, it seems the product is there, like the quality of the consumption from someone outside, it's enjoyable. You can compare it to other artists who are also like, in America, and it's like the product is there. So I think it's just a matter of timing and obviously a bit of the stars aligning, but it's going to happen.
Support. Yeah. And what's, I think also what's going to be a big challenge is, of course, the mindset of Filipinos. Because I guess well, it's just my own like opinion when I say that Filipinos tend to support co-Filipinos if they are noticed abroad, but if they're just here and it's they just take it for granted. Well, that's the reality of it, because it's like, he's always there, she's always there anyway. But then once they go out and they get noticed, like when KZ left for China to perform, and when Inigo got this deal in LA, that's the time that everybody started supporting. Even with Charisse and Jake Cyrus, they started supporting him when
after
he made a career abroad. So that's the sad part about being Filipino, is that Filipinos are like, okay, they're good, but then if it's not being acknowledged abroad, they wouldn't support that much. But then once they kind of get their names already out there, all right, here we are. We're proud to be Pinoy. So,
but I think that will change as with this technology era too. The more exposure they will get in the international way from the social platforms, the more recognition they will have
worldwide,
in
right?
real life. So I think
Yes.
that like Efra said, I have faith in the power of technology and the talent in the Philippines. Like I believe it's a dark horse in the industry.
And I also like, and the Philippines is an example of it, but it's also like that kind of same issue that you're mentioning of, the people from one country kind of don't really get behind at the start, but then, as years progress, maybe kind of forget about an artist that it's local and it's from the country, unless they get worldwide recognition. That's a phenomena that seems to happen in different parts of the world. So it's hopefully that, hopefully technology and social media and this kind of, even these conversations we're having, I mean, we're in bloody fucking London, who would have thought, So hopefully this kind of the technology can sort of open up more opportunity for worldwide recognition rather than just, in the country.
Yeah,
that's true.
Is there something like something that I like to ask a lot sometimes is, you've been doing this for a long time, so I don't know if maybe you can even recall all your performances, but is there like a performance that maybe you think is like, wow, that's like that moment, it's a moment that I'm always gonna remember for the rest of my life?
Okay. There's a couple, but I guess one performance would be my very first major concert at the Araneta Coliseum. It's one of the biggest coliseums here in the Philippines, and
it's a lot of people.
and a lot of people, and I was on stage and I was performing, and you just have this overwhelming feeling that there was one number that I just couldn't sing anymore. I just was breaking down on stage already because the people were singing my song. They were doing the song already. So it's something that I will never forget. That feeling that, oh, people know my song. They're singing my song. So I guess that's one of those moments. And I guess one thing would also be performing with my idols, of course, like Regine, Leia, and Gary V, Martin Rivera. Nice. I'm still a fanboy. Even if I work with them. I work with them every week in ASAP. But I always get starstruck. I still get starstruck. I hang out with Leia all the time, but I'll always be a fan.
Well, she is incredible. She is definitely one of my top influences when it comes to female vocalization. I think she is incredible, like one of a kind.
Well, dude, she is adored here in London, like especially in the theater scene.
Oh yeah.
Like, like
she's a legend.
She's like a goddess, dude.
She
like
is.
People bow down.
Oh yeah, she's a goddess. That's true. Everybody is like, whenever Leia sings, everybody shut up.
I know.
Listen.
It's the queen herself.
Yeah, even if she's just rehearsing or doing like a run through, she always gets standing ovations for a rehearsal. So I'm like, wow, just for a rehearsal.
Hasn't there been a moment where you're preparing for something with one of these artists that you looked up so much and you felt a little bit, I don't know, unsure of something? What was your mindset to tackle through those things?
Well, with me, whenever I perform with these kinds of artists, like these icons, whom I call, I always prepare my mind more than anything else, because sometimes being a fanboy can get the best of me sometimes, because there was one time that I had to do a duet with Leia, and in her concert, I was her guest, and then we did A Whole New World. Good thing it was just,
as you do.
Yeah, good thing it was just rehearsals, and then I was singing my part because I start the song, right? And then she starts singing, and then I just stop. And then when my part came in, I wasn't able to sing, and then she was like, "Uy, your turn." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sorry."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like looking at her. I'm like, "Wow." So sometimes I still get starstruck with these guys.
It's more than about kind of like just
mental training,
preparing yourself that there's a kind of, I guess, there's stars and do you maybe think like maybe these are just normal people, or how do you what's the mindset?
You can't, especially if like, especially with me when I was growing up in the province, I would see them on TV and I would like and I never even like realized or even imagined that I would be working with them. And Regine Velasquez was like my ultimate idol, and was like, it was because of her that I really loved singing. And I would even I remember like keeping my lunch money just for me to buy her albums and for me to listen to her songs, because my dad and mom wouldn't buy me stuff like that, because they were the practical kind. Food, clothing, shelter, that's it.
Yeah.
If you want to buy your toys, you want to buy your stuff, you have to save up for it. So yeah, so seeing them growing up, and now working with them, it's still there's still this star quality in front of me that I'm like, yeah, these are my idols. And even if some of them even tell me that, why, I'm your friend, we're colleagues already, I'm like, yeah, we are, but then you're still my idol. So
what's ironic is like that. I'm sure it's like a cycle, because I'm sure there's other singers that you're the person they looked up to, and now maybe they've sung with you, and it's probably like the same thing but now in reverse. It's so bizarre.
Probably. But it's funny because here in the Philippines, a lot of singers avoid singing with me because they're kind of scared. But I'm like, I tell them, no, don't get scared, because when I sing, when I do a duet, I'm a team player, okay? If I do my solos, okay, I'm gonna like eat all of you up. But if we sing as a duo or as in a duet, we're gonna work, as a team.
Well, one of my favorite, I think, duos, which was like a studio duo you did with John Mark Saga.
Yeah,
John Mark
on your
Saga.
channel, no?
Yeah,
yes,
I love that cover, that collaboration you guys did.
Thank you very much. Because I really believe that whenever you do a duet, it's not a contest. It's not a competition. You have to make each other shine. So even if you have the ability to outshine the other, it doesn't make you better. It's a group effort. It has to be teamwork. So I make it a point that whenever I sing with somebody, like if I sing with Regine or with Lani Misalucha, okay, let's be animals on stage, because you can be loud and belt everything out. But if I sing with for example Moira, and Moira is like so soft and so toned down, I'll have to sing like also, let's tone it down, because if I start singing like or belting, it wouldn't sound good, right?
Yeah, is that idea of understanding what the song and the environment requires, right? So depending on your environment, depending on what song, depending on who you're singing with, you gotta be able to adapt. There's nothing. True. I find that there's tons of performances out there where there's a bunch of people trying to out sing each other for 4 minutes straight, and you're like, oh God. No, you could enjoy. It
stops being pleasant, right?
Yeah, you could enjoy the whole atmosphere if you just gave space to everybody.
And kind of maybe focused more on musicality, because at the end of the day, you're trying to create melody and harmony and make it a pleasant experience for the listeners.
Yeah, that's true. And it's very obvious if you guys are out singing each other, people will know. People will know. That's one thing that I also advise with people, when they perform. Especially if you already established your name in the business, you don't have to prove something anymore. Think of the performance, think of the total performance, and not think of how you will sound, because you're good, you're fine, like you're okay. People know you as a good singer, that's why you're there. So that's why they made you do that duet, right?
Is that maybe, dude, why are you so good at impressions?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because just sort of the reason why I'm asking this is because maybe the fact that you understand duets and also trios or understanding vocal dynamics and the musicality behind it, is that perhaps why you think you find it easy to replicate sounds? Because that is so odd. I always think of people that can kind of imitate things. That's so fucking weird to me. How do you do like?
It's I don't know. I guess I'm an observer. I observe a lot, and I'm very keen with detail. So whenever I and that impersonation thing was just it was again an accident, because I don't do that. I never realized that I had that that kind of talent. It happened in one of my concerts that I invited 3 people. It was Regine, Lani, and Leia, I invited them to be my guest. But unfortunately, on the same night, they were also guests of Sarah Geronimo.
Right.
So they weren't able to go. And then I already had this production number made for the three of them and for me. And then I said, it's going to be a waste if I don't perform this. So let me try. So I tried performing the number of Regine, Lani, and Leia
by yourself.
By myself. And I made it like a comic, like a funny part of the concert.
Yeah,
so
like
it was like the humor part. Yeah, like a comedy skit. And yeah, people kind of enjoyed it. And it started from there. And then from those voices, I started learning other voices. And yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to mimic, but all you have to do is just listen. You have to really listen and practice. You have to practice because it's pretty different. Like even if, like for example, if I do Regine, I cannot just copy the way she moves her mouth. It's different. It's gonna be different. It has to sound like her. You have to do something else with your voice. So yeah, you have to be very keen with detail.
Observant.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not even emulating sound anymore. It's even emulating body language, posture, mannerisms, and all this really, really fine details that you make them seem so natural, like so easy.
Actually, it helps. It really helps whenever you add on to your performance. Like for example, if Regine performs, and then her eyes are like this, and then her hands are like this. It adds to the performance. And with Jaya, like when she performs,
yes.
it adds to the performance, and you make people believe that's like, oh yeah, that's right. Jaya does that, or Regine does that, Leia does that. So you kind of make them believe that. Yeah, you kind of make them realize that they're actually hearing and watching a different person on stage.
That is fantastic. I honestly,
like one of my favorite human beings on earth. That woman is so nice. Like she's like one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I had so much fun talking to her. I talk to her often. She's a blessing. I freaking love that woman. Yeah.
Well, that's actually so important. In fact, when she sings, she does that shit. That's so
she's like so down to earth. I love it.
Talking about also like imitations and stuff. But one of the things that a lot of people mentioned to us when we sort of check out some of your work is you're obviously heavily involved in the show of Your Face Sounds Familiar.
Yes.
What is that like? Kind of being now, because I guess to some extent, I mean, you've probably experienced this for years where people kind of look up to you, but you kind of have this upcoming, sometimes kids, sometimes or people asking for like your advice, and you're kind of the judge now. So the tables have turned. What has been that experience like being involved in that show and being now a judge?
Well, that show actually opened a lot of opportunities for me. Like, because people would always before Your Face Sounds Familiar, people would only see me as Jed Madela, the singer, the performer,
the voice.
And just the voice. And when this competition came, this show came, the original plan was to get me to be a contestant, to be part of the show, because they kind of knew that I was doing impersonations.
Right.
But then they said that I think he is better to be a judge or a mentor, because he can, help the contestants. Because if he's gonna join,
there's not gonna be much competition.
There's no competition anymore. So
everybody will be out. He wins.
Right. So being a judge, I judged Your Face Sounds Familiar for the first 2 seasons, but then when they offered me the job of being a mentor and like to train, I said yes, because when you're a judge, you only arrive there and sit down and look and watch the performance, and you can just like, okay, just make your comments, and it's easy. But then being a mentor, it's more hands-on. It's more satisfying for me as an artist, because you work with a clean slate. Like when I did Your Face Sounds Familiar Kids, when I started training like the TNT Boys, I would train them from scratch. I would teach them how to squeeze their voice, or to manipulate how to make their voice sound bigger or smaller. And like I would even like demonstrate, okay, where you're, for example, one contestant has to do Miley Cyrus. Okay, how does Miley sound? She sounds like she has a candy in her mouth. Put a candy in your mouth. So she would do that. So, you know, as a mentor and as an artist, there's more fulfillment as an artist, especially when you see that what you're teaching these artists are being implemented and being shown. And the more when they win, it feels like you also won. So
Of course.
yeah, the satisfaction of being a mentor in this show is you know, it's priceless. Actually, that's why I enjoy doing it.
So it was you heavily involved with the TNT boys. I mean, the TNT lads now. I mean, they're no longer
Yeah.
kids, you know. But it was you who was kind of very hands on with the boys.
Yes, with Your Face Sounds Familiar, it was two of us. It was me for the voice and Nyoy Volante for the movements, the actions, and the performances. But more on the vocals, I was the one teaching everybody, like um, the
Vocal
TNT
mannerisms,
Boys, yeah. And even the latest ones, like the artists now, for the latest season, yeah, I had to teach everybody.
That's amazing. I think, you know, that's the type of opportunities and interactions that are priceless, and you wouldn't be able to get exposed to them if you weren't included, like if you weren't in the business industry itself. And I find that that is the enriching part of the mainstream media, right? Because you get the chance to have incredible talents, meet other talents, and then grow even bigger and continue, you know, changing and evolving. And I find that that's another blessing that the Filipino business in like showbiz industry has. You guys are so open to work with each other. You guys are so you know, willing to help one another, to put each other in, like, you know, in a really good place, because, you know, you're representing each other constantly.
It's like a collaborative
it's like a collective thinking
to music, it seems there, which is obviously nice, because to be fair, like
it's rare though. It's
you don't really see that often in other industries, you know. And it's not like you had to do it. It's more like it's also like a different part of your journey where maybe performing,
you learn a lot of things as well, because you know, you like, for me, I impart what I learn, and then sometimes I get stuff from them as well. I learn a lot of stuff from them as well. So you know, it's also a give and take thing. And yeah, like with me, it's seeing other people you know, succeed in their careers, and with me being part of their journey, it's like it feels good. It feels good, like, you know, at this point of my career, that I already have, you know, basically done everything, like performed, and, you know, performed everywhere. Seeing, like, passing it on to the new batch, it feels great. It feels great, especially if they remember you, especially when they remember you eventually, when they become big stars. They would say that, oh, they call me Kuya or Manong here in the Philippines. Oh, Manong Jed was one of my mentors. I'm like, that feels great. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what an honor to be able to say that, though. It's
but then, may I ask, what's perhaps what's in your mind for the future, in terms of perhaps what you'd like to do, or maybe, because one of the things sometimes when we speak to artists of your magnitude, where it's like you have done a lot of the things that a lot of people, like, if they would have done 10% of what you've achieved, they would relax, and it's like, that's enough, you know. So my question is always, what's next? What would you like to do, or what kind of keeps you motivated to keep singing or performing? What's the future for Jed?
Well, of course, definitely, I wouldn't want to stop performing on stage. When all of this is over, I really want to go back performing all over the world. I want to do tours. Nice. I want to do you know, live performances. But you know what? I really also want to work behind the scenes, like direct concerts as well, and write concerts, and produce, and even make albums, I guess, original material for other artists in the future, because I think that's what's lacking here in the Philippines right now, original material. Okay. So you know, probably in the future, if given the chance, I would like to collaborate with different artists, and put out original works out
That would
there.
be fantastic.
You mean in the sense that it's lacking original content in the Philippines? You mean in the sense that there's maybe too much of focus in covers and things like that? Or
yeah, it's always like how should I say it? Like people here want to be on the safe side or on the sure things. Like, okay, I'm gonna record a cover because this already is popular.
Yeah.
Unlike when you record an original song, you really have to build it up because people don't know it. So you have to make people listen to it. But with the cover, it's like a given. People already know the song. So that's what I really want. I want to help out, bring out original pieces, original works out there.
That is fantastic.
Sounds good.
Jed, what's on your playlist recently, like lately? What are you listening to often?
That's a good question, actually.
Oh,
What do you like to listen to?
BTS.
Well, actually, I'm sure a lot of people are going to ask this because a lot of people ask us this, and I'm sure they ask you this as well. Who is your bias in BTS?
Well, my bias is Taeyang.
V, nice.
Kim Taeyang, V, yeah. It's funny because people always ask, who's your bias?
They always do, yeah.
And I always say V. And why? Why is it V?
Because he's adorable. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. Well, aside from that, I always say, well, you don't choose your bias chooses you.
Amen. I mean,
no, but it's true. It's true. I don't know. I can't explain. I don't know why Jungkook is also good. V, RM, and the other guys are amazing. But then for some reason, I gravitate towards V because I sometimes see myself in him. Right. That he is quiet and mysterious, but at the same time very goofy when he's with people who he's comfortable with. So I guess that's how you get to connect with your bias, I guess.
Definitely.
Well, some because of their face, because they're gorgeous and they look like gods. But deeper than that, sometimes there's that aura or there's this energy that kind of drags you to them. Yeah, so that's how I got to be V as my bias.
So I agree though, but because you sometimes, for example, like I think for me on BTS, the person I naturally gravitate towards when I'm seeing live performances is Jimin. Like he naturally makes me want to look at him. I find that he's an amazing performer on stage, but personality wise and like humor and the way he carries himself, then V is my bias too. I find there are so many little things about their natural response to each other.
He's a charming lad.
That I just find it hilarious.
Charming lad, and also very visually
captivating.
He's a very interesting visual concept. Like he's very photogenic and he has an interesting
He dresses
style.
Well.
Yeah.
Even his hair.
I know.
Everything. Yeah. Anything looks good on him. So he is blessed.
I think the whole of BTS, I don't know what was with the jeans over there, but like, wow, the whole of them, and not only visually, but as artists, I truly appreciate, the effort and the work ethic and everything they do. It's definitely changing the game, though.
Someone also who looks good on camera, mate, is you. I've seen that billboard you did.
Oh, thank you.
You look fantastic.
That was good.
Thank you. It's so funny because the story with that, when I was starting in the industry, I've always dreamed of having a billboard. When you're new, you want to see your face, in a big billboard. But then I never got any endorsements when I was younger, because they would always tell me that you have to lose weight, you have to lose this and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, never mind. And then after like years of just giving up, I'm like, it's not gonna be a dream for me anymore. Here comes the offer of Bench, and they offered me that billboard for plus size. I'm like, wow, there it goes. So that there was a purpose for me not to lose weight, because I'll be endorsing and representing people with more more body to hug. So right, so I was joking with my friends, like, see, you guys wanted me to lose weight. If I lost weight, I wouldn't have landed this endorsement.
And that's actually true. How did it feel though? How did it feel to look at yourself up with something that you've been dreaming of all your life?
It must be a surreal feeling, dude. Because
how did that feel?
Great. It felt great. Actually, I uploaded a vlog of me and my my assistant on my YouTube channel.
I will watch it.
Yeah, we'll give
And
it a
I was happy. I was excited because I would see myself. But then the reaction of my personal assistant was priceless. She has been with me for 15 years already, and she was literally crying. She cried. She was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! I can see the eye. I can see the nose. I can see the mouth." Because we were on EDSA, the main highway here in the Philippines, and of course there's a lot of bridges that was like covering the billboard from afar, and she was like holding her phone, taking a video of it, and then she was holding it, and while she was watching, she was crying. So it was so touching. It was so touching because this girl has been with me for like 15 years already. Wow. And you know, she has seen like the rise and the fall of Jed Madela, and she's an amazing character as well. So
it's brilliant.
You know,
it's really brilliant.
What a fantastic
because you can really count like the amount of people who have had billboards of that size probably with your hands. You know what I mean? It's not that many. And it's obviously funny as well because it's like usually the people that go on those like huge billboards are usually kind of like the same people. You kind of usually, especially if they're stars, you kind of usually see the same faces.
Yes, yes.
So that must have been an absolute feeling, and I'm sure that's not going to be the last. You know, because it looked.
Well, I
great.
hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. What's nice about it is because you know, I get to represent, you know, another group of people who always have that mindset, and since I'm big, I'm not gonna be like model material. Since I'm not skinny, you know, it's nice that nowadays we promote inclusivity. Like we have to include everybody else. So to be you know, the face of the plus size, I'm happy. I'm really happy.
Well,
and,
it's also smart, Jed, because that's also part of the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to see the comments of people on social media, and finally, you know, finally I get to wear this the brand because they already have a size for me. It feels good. It feels good.
Absolutely. I think, you know, there's nothing more refreshing to find yourself represented in something somewhere else where you didn't think you would find some type of representation or value. You know, it's so nice to see people that looked like you, people that dress like you, people that you look up to too, that you know are somewhat aligned to your lifestyle and how you see yourself. It's so refreshing. I find that it has more power than people actually give it, you know.
That's true.
It's good. That's why I think, you know, when you find people around the world, artists around the world representing, you know, Pinoy talent, or you know, German talent, or Venezuelan Latino people in the industry overall, it helps, you know, find yourself as a normal person in the world too. You know, it helps you. You know, it's refreshing. You feel represented.
It's slightly more real,
and
you know?
You feel you belong. You know you belong.
Exactly. There's all the people that look and sound and dress like you, and that's so comforting because the world can sometimes feel so big, right? So isolating.
And it also feels genuinely more real because that's like not, you know, it's not like people I think don't understand. It's like, you know, these people we see on TV sometimes, like, you know, the actors or the models that go on these billboards all the time. It's like, in order to look like that for that shoot, it's an absolute fucking nightmare. And they're probably dehydrated. It's not healthy, by the way. And looking at single digit body fat. And it's like, it's horrible. No one wants to live like that anyways. You know what I mean? So it's definitely
not
more
even
real.
Themselves.
Yeah, it's more. I think luckily now it's even healthier now to look at faces that we feel more sort of familiarized with, and also they feel more human.
And then see the natural response of it being accepted, because there's always been that taboo, right? If you don't look a certain way, if you don't dress a certain way, then you're not accepted, you're not included. And I find that
refreshing.
It's so refreshing, this new era.
Which brings back to what we were talking about earlier, and which is about change. It's so nice that, you know, the world is changing, and it depends on you on which side of change you're going to be on. So let's choose you know, the happy part of change.
I agree.
Well, Jed, it's truly been an absolute honor, man, to have you on. It's a
pleasure.
An absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed as well, and please continue doing that. You guys are amazing, and you make a lot of people happy here. Not just the fans, but the artists. Just want to thank you for making this pandemic better, because you guys we watch you here. We watch you, and we enjoy your videos, and thank you very much.
No,
so much.
Again, it's been an absolute honor, and welcome back anytime. Let us know when you're in London. We'll meet up. We'll get some food or whatever. And I think drop your socials as well, so people can go follow you. Keep on top of everything that you're doing.
Yes, to everybody who's watching right now, please do support me on my social media accounts. Jed Madela Official on YouTube, and same in Instagram. And no, let's just support each other. Everybody, let's help each other, especially the ones you feel are worthy of the support. Let's just make the world a better place by supporting each other and being kind to each other. And right, because social media is good, but sometimes it also has its bad sides.
It's a bit mad, isn't it?
It's a little crazy sometimes.
The trolls and the bashers, they're very active, but they make it
but
colorful.
You keep positive. You keep positive, and we spread good positivity.
Can't pay too much attention about that, Jeff. I do want to say though, really thanks for those kind words, because it's sometimes hard to sort of gauge. We, here in London, sometimes people, they say, "Oh, we really enjoy your videos." So people from France, from Korea, from all over the world, they sometimes, they drop us messages, and it's really lovely. And obviously now, thanks to the internet, we can look at like where people are actually watching from. So, but sometimes it's so hard to gauge. I sometimes have no clue that it seems a lot of artists or people actually watch there from the Philippines. It seems
crazy.
When we speak,
we do.
When we speak to people from like South Korea, sometimes they drop us texts, and it's like, yeah, dude, we have to watch it sometimes with someone that speaks English so they can and Korean so they can translate to us while we watch the videos. Whoa! So it's
so crazy.
Really do thanks for those kind words, because it puts into perspective. Sometimes it is meaningful to some people, so that's obviously really nice to hear. So talking about kind and positivity, thank you for being the highlight of our day.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Well, take care, and thank you so much. Welcome back anytime.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much, and more power to you guys.
Everybody, Jed Madela.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.